understands everything you're going through. God understands that you need a right now breakthrough. God understands when your friends forsake you. God understands when your family misunderstands you. He knows and he cares when you're down and in despair. Don't you worry, child. He answers prayer. God understands. I tell you, he knows and he cares. Don't you worry, no. He answers prayers. He understands. God understands when you feel like giving up. God understands when you're sad 'cause you don't feel loved. God understands why you cry the very tears you cry. God understands sometimes you'd rather not live but die. Said he knows. Yes, he knows. And he cares when you're down and in despair. Don't you worry. Answer prayer. Don't you worry, God understands. Sing tight.
God understands all the pain you feel inside. Oh, God understands all the tears you try to hide. God understands the depression that brings you down. Oh, God understands the hurt that turns your smiles to frowns. 'Cause he knows.
He knows.
Say it again, oh.
He knows.
I'm so glad he knows.
How well he knows.
God understands. He knows.
He knows.
Every tear you cry, every pain that we share, he knows. Yeah, yeah.
He knows.
He knows. He knows. Yes, he does. He knows. Yeah, yeah.
God understands.
Yes, he knows. He knows.
All your hurt and pain.
Every tear
you cry.
Yeah.
God understands.
Well, great morning every day, everybody. This is a day the Lord has made, and we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. I hope you can already sense the favor of God as he is outpouring it. It's a great outpour today. Do me a favor, hit that share button. You know how we do it. Let's come out of the gate strong today. Make sure you hit that share button, share button, and bring as many people as you can into this experience. Great morning to every one of you from literally around the world. Felicia King, Albany, Georgia, what's going on? We thank you for being here this morning. Celia from Greenville, South Carolina. Felicia, thank you so much. Good morning to you. Cynthia Lowry, Dublin, Georgia. I've never been there. Albany and Dublin. Phoenix, Arizona. Bernard Smith, thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We are excited to have you with us today. Kelly Baker, Concord, North Carolina is in the room, and I'm so glad you are. Thank you. Sally Burlington, North Carolina. We thank you. Come on, keep coming in. Tamika, H-Town, what's good? We're happy to have you in the building today. Good morning to you. Chicago's representing. Carmel in Chicago. Felicia down in Selma, Alabama. Dandy in Tacoma, Washington. What's good in Tacoma? Way up there. You up there by Dawn. Dawn in Seattle. Good morning to you, Carolyn. Rosedale, Mississippi. Come on. I'll give you another few moments as you're coming in. Of course, we are lifting up Bishop Samuel Blakes today. Of course, you already know we have attempted to keep you in the know of everything that's going on. And we are covering him by the blood. He is in the care of the surgeons and the physicians, even as I'm speaking to you. And we are just expecting a great testimony, swift recovery, no complications, and back and better than ever. So I want to thank all of you who have been praying. I want you to pray even now throughout the day. I tell you what, if I was going through anything remotely like that, if there's anybody I would want praying for me, it would be you, the Wisdom Warriors, because obviously God responds to you when you call upon the name of Jesus. Earl, Kansas City, Missouri. What's up, my man? Kimberly Johnson, McKinney, Texas. Thank you for being with us today. Tashiko in Bakersfield, California. You know, she's representing, so we appreciate you as always. Lovely Monique, Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are excited to have you in the building today. So we are expecting God to do some phenomenal things in our lives and on our behalf. So I want to jump in today. I think, probably finish the session that I started on dealing with adjusting our expectations. And I hope by now you have taken some of this material, you have adopted it into your life, you made it applicable to where you are, so that you can adjust your expectations on three fronts: expectations of others, expectations of ourselves, and our expectations of our God. And so I want to jump in it. I want to jump into the third installment of that today, and say to you, stop expecting peace from people who are at war within themselves. Stop expecting peace from people who are at war within themselves. So we're going to talk about in this session, adjusting our expectations. And as a premise statement is, sometimes you expect a lot out of somebody simply because you'd do that much for them. No question about it. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is out of the question. There is absolutely no foreseeable limits to which I will not go to make sure you are good and to make sure you are taken care of. And you would think that with you exhibiting this kind of limitless love, selfless extending of yourself, that it would just automatically be a reciprocal kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, it does not work that way. You can be selfless, you can be 1,000% all in, and it does not necessarily guarantee that you're going to get even a fraction of it back. I wish it was that way, but unfortunately, it just does not work that way. And ladies and gentlemen, somehow, unfortunately, we break our own hearts because we keep expecting people to be as attached, as attracted, and as accommodating to you and I as we are to them. And at some point, you've got to ask yourself this question: who's hurting you? And your transparent and honest response has got to be my own expectation. It's I'm expecting people to be to me what I am to them. And I said it to you before. It's difficult finding a you. You don't run across a me every day. And so it's difficult to find a you. And the truth of the matter is, let me make this as a sidebar interjection. And you may want to write this down, or even more importantly, you may want to rehearse this in your mind. When you stop expecting people to be perfect, you can like them for who they actually are. Sometimes it is our expectations of people, and on another note, it's not that our expectations of them. Sometimes we have expectations of them conforming to what we want them to be and who we want them to be, right? And when that doesn't happen, of course, we become gravely disappointed because you're not who I expected you to be. Well, you can't expect me to be your clone or a replica or a robot, right? If the premise of your love for me is only predicated on me being who you want me to be, then you have to probably reassess your attraction or your interest. And so when we understand those dynamics in terms of expectations, then we learn how to manage our expectation, because it's not that you're expecting too much. It's just that you may be expecting too much from the wrong individuals. And so in this session, I want to go a little deeper, because the problem is that we are expecting peace from people who are literally at war within themselves. And that is called, ladies and gentlemen, inner turmoil. Inner turmoil often manifests itself outwardly. And those consumed by unresolved emotions, self-doubt, and unhealed wounds rarely have the capacity to offer others the calm they cannot access themselves. If you ever ran into somebody and you always say, they always on 100, they are literally always on 100. There is no moment of peace, of solace, of tranquility. They are always in a season or a sphere of unrest or restlessness, because there is this inner turmoil. Ladies and gentlemen, inner turmoil refers to a state of intense emotional or mental distress, often characterized by conflicting feelings, thoughts, and unresolved issues within an individual. And you are quick to assume, where they're always fighting with me. It's not necessarily that they're fighting with you. There's an internal conflict in the inside. They're always combating these negative intuitions or these negative voices and these negative narratives that are always present on the inside. It's a sense of, hear this very carefully, internal chaos and unrest that is often stemming from life's stressors. Again, unresolved conflicts, unprocessed trauma. Quite often, more often than not, some mental health issue, some esteem deficiency. And expecting someone who is emotionally, mentally, or spiritually conflicted to bring peace to your life is it's literally like asking a storm to provide calm for you. It is absolutely ludicrous for you to expect peace from people who are at war within themselves. Have you met people like that now? Have you matured enough to the point where you were able to deduce the fact that this individual has inner turmoil? They can't be blowing up like this for what seems to be trivial and very minute issues, because people who are at war with themselves are, again, they're consumed by unresolved pain. They have this intense level of fear. They are consumed by chaos. And their inner turmoil inevitably begins to spill into their actions, more specifically and particularly relationships, making it nearly impossible for them to offer stability or harmony with anybody. Come real close. Let me say this to you. A person battling inner chaos, whether from fear, guilt, or unprocessed trauma, is like a storm raging beneath the surface. It doesn't take much to set them off. And your life is too precious to allow other people's instability to fracture your stability or to cause a disruption in your serenity and your tranquility in your life. Because when a person is dealing with inner turmoil, again, there's this war that is constantly raging on the inside of them. Their actions, their words, and their energy will inevitably reflect that turbulence, leaving little room for stability or harmony. And you said it yourself, man, they always got an issue. They never can get along with anybody. And here you are, wasting your energy, your effort, your enthusiasm on people who will not change until they recognize the need to change. Let me say that to you again. You're wasting all your energy, your effort. Emotionally, you are depleted. Psychologically, you are frustrated because you're trying to get people to change who will not change until they are ready to absolutely change. And so to have this unrealistic expectation from someone in such a state is to misunderstand, hear me very carefully, the depth of their struggle and their energy it takes to simply survive it. Let me give you that again. To expect to reap some joy, and if I can just get around this person, oh my God, I feel peace and I feel calmness. That is an unrealistic expectation, because when you're expecting serenity or externally generated peace from individuals who are in this state of inner turmoil and inner war within themselves, it means you have a poor understanding of the depth of their struggle, number one. Number two, you don't realize the energy it takes to survive it. And relationships, or trying to engage with individuals, trying to establish or develop or even maintain relationships with individuals that display this kind of behavior, often become draining, one-sided, as their inner conflict spills into every single interaction they're having with you. What does that mean? It means that they are projecting their anger on you. They're holding you responsible for what the last person did. Unprocessed anger. They have not put anything into perspective. They cannot individualize interaction. Again, all that simply means is they cannot resist the urge to make me guilty for what somebody before me did, right? And so they are projecting anger. Number two, they will project insecurity on you. They will project restlessness onto others, creating cycles of what I like to call, what I often call massive discord. In other words, there is never a time of agreement because everything always feels aggressive and argumentative. It's hard to establish any degree of continuity. It's hard to establish any degree of commitment. It's hard to maintain lines of communication because every interaction is always aggressive. It's always argumentative, and you don't realize it. But on the other individual side, This isn't simply something you can write off as malice. It's a subconscious survival mechanism. Some people, and this is going to be good for you to learn. Some people can only survive by being mad, angry, disagreeable, because their psyche, based on their interactions and their exchanges in their history, they keep you at a distance. They're able to establish what they feel to be comfortable distance. As long as they argue, as long as I'm fighting you, you can't get too close to me. And as long as I'm fighting you, it may actually push you away. Because there are some people that will say you gave up on them when they know in actuality they pushed you away. Because there's so much unprocessed, so many unprocessed emotions within them, and their inability to reconcile their own pain means that they lack the emotional bandwidth to prioritize peace, compromise, or even patience. I wish somebody had caught me years earlier so that I would not have made some of the bad choices I made simply because I did not understand the emotional dynamics, and I did not have the psychological intelligence or the emotional capacity to guard myself by noticing the signs of individuals who are at war within themselves. And that's your problem. A lot of your frustration right now is that you're trying to establish, maintain, or sustain relationships with people who are at war within themselves. Every question starts a battle. Every conversation, no matter how well intended you are, no matter how great your motive is for the exchange, it always takes a turn at a moment. Everything can be going good, and then a moment's notice something changes, and now there is an eruption, and there is discord, and there is disjointment, and there is disharmony, because you have made the mistake that a lot of people have made, including myself, because I expected peace from people who were at war within themselves. And ladies and gentlemen, instead of demanding tranquility from them, shift your focus. Hear this. This is critical for you. You have to shift your focus to setting boundaries and nurturing connections with those whose inner peace or landscape are more settled. Because true peace begins with self-awareness, and watch this, here's the big one, and healing. True peace begins with self-awareness and healing. Processes that require vulnerability and courage, many are not ready to face. Here's something I'm going to tell you that you're not even aware of. Some people know they need to heal, but they refuse to heal because it might forfeit the attention they're getting. Oh, let me say that to you again. There are some people who know they need to heal, and they choose to not heal because they don't want to forfeit the attention that they are receiving in their unhealed posture. Because here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen, until individuals we engage with or are interacting with, until they confront their internal battles, their interactions will be plagued with and by inconsistency. Here's a big one: defensiveness and emotional withdrawal. Let me give you that. I ain't gonna charge you a dime for it. Let me give you that again. Until everybody you have some kind of engagement with, until individuals begin to confront their internal battles, Their interactions will remain plagued with and by inconsistency, with and by defensiveness, and with and by emotional withdrawal. Now, please hear me. Let me give you some balance. This does not mean abandoning them. This does not mean that's my cue. I'm out. I'm washing my hands. I'm going to just walk away from you. It does not. It does not mean abandoning them, but rather, here it is. It means I have to adjust my expectations. I got to adjust because that's been a great deal of my problem and your problem. It's because you have your expectations set at a certain place, when in actuality, you're frustrated because you didn't make an accurate appraisal of the people to which you are expecting these things from. And so you gotta offer empathy where possible, right? You have to have some kind of humanity that allows you to offer empathy where possible, but this is very paramount. You have to protect your own peace by recognizing that their journey is their journey alone. And I'll get into that in a minute, because I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of these kind of questions in counseling sessions. You have to be concerned without being consumed. Let me give you that again, because that's going to help you in this next stage of your life. When people are struggling, when you finally get to the point where you recognize I have to withdraw my expectation, because I recognize that I cannot expect peace from people who are at war with themselves. But again, that does not mean abandoning them, but it means, however, that I must begin to adjust my expectations. I have to offer empathy where possible, but protect my own peace by recognizing that your journey is your journey. And it does not mean I have to be consumed by it, nor does it mean I have to allow what you're going through to complicate my life. I can be concerned without being consumed. I hope you get that. You got to get that internally, because by directing your energy toward those who cultivate harmony within, you create space in your life. Watch this. First of all, you create a space in your life to attract into your life people who are interested in mutual growth, individuals who are interested in reciprocation, right? Because a lot of the frustration you're feeling and a lot of the disharmony you are feeling is because you may be connecting with people who have the slightest interest in reciprocation. Again, there are some people that will take as long as you keep giving. They have no limit to it. And so if I'm going to adjust my expectations and realizing that I cannot expect peace from people who are at war within themselves, what are some steps that I have to take? Of course, number one, and it is critical, again, you have to release unrealistic expectations. I did not say release the person or the individual, but you got to, again, reassess who they are, what they have, what stage of life they're in, what they can contribute, what their limitations are. See, that is a lot of the problem. We keep giving access to people in our lives without properly vetting them, right? Because let's be honest. Usually you just have to be fine enough, look good enough, smell good enough, and we cool. That's all we need to check off the checklist, right? And then it takes you a little while to understand you can be fine and crazy. Oh my God, you can look like a model and be a monster internally, right? Because you have to make probably, first of all, you have to pray about everybody that's coming in alignment or close to the proximity of your life. You have to have discernment, because you never want to be more desperate than you are discerning at any stage in your life. And so anybody who's attempting to gain entry into my life, right, I have to be mature enough to look past the surface things, the trivial things. And I got to get down to the things that are ultimately going to be determining factors. So we're talking about adjusting our expectations of others and even ourselves. And in this session, we're talking about we cannot expect peace from people who are at war within themselves. So number one, what do I have to do? Release unrealistic expectation. Here's the bottom line. I'm going to just cut to the chase. A person drowning in their own struggles cannot save somebody else. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment, particularly for, again, I cannot tell you how many counseling sessions I have, and people have ascribed to themselves to be Superman, Superwoman. They've ascribed to themselves, I'm gonna be Superman, Superwoman. I can change them. I could get them to conform. I can get them to shift. You are delusional. People only change when they want to change. Their capacity to show up calmly and consistently and committedly is limited by their internal battles. You cannot save a drowning person who is struggling. They will take you under in the process. So you got to release realistic expectations. Number two, you got to set compassionate boundaries. Now that is beyond crucial for you. I know you love and you love hard. And I know you give everybody everything you got. So it's almost an unrestricted proclivity. So if that connection feels good to you, you go all in. You give everything you got. You're not editing anything. You're not streamlining the verb. You are going absolutely in. But let me say this to you. Boundaries are signs that you value self-preservation. And I'll talk about this in another session about self-preservation. But let me just give you this. Setting boundaries is the greatest indicator. It's the most indicative move you can make relative to your awareness of your need of self-preservation. Because if I didn't have the boundaries that I have in my life, people will pull me here, I'll be pulled over there, I'll be pulled over here, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing that. And before you know it, I've given all of me away to everybody else and I have no more of me left. And so your problem is you could be giving too much of you away to people, first of all, who don't deserve it. People... because I've learned a lot of years ago, just because they want you doesn't mean they deserve you. You may need to post that at some point today. Just because they want you doesn't mean they deserve you. And so I gotta make the adjustments in my expectations. Number one, I gotta release unrealistic expectations. Number two, I've got to set compassionate boundaries. Because you can care for somebody without absorbing their chaos. And I don't want to be redundant, but then again, I actually do. Because your heart is so big. I'm talking to you right there. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Your heart is so big. Your spirit is so just wonderful. And you just love everybody, and you'd give everything you have for somebody, and you've actually gone without for somebody. You've shelved your dream in efforts to help other people with their dreams, and you push your stuff to the side just to play a supporting role in somebody else's journey in their life. And the reality of the matter is, just because you care, and stop letting people make you feel guilty. I care, but I care about me as well. by not wanting to absorb the chaos. And I can tell you from personal experience as a counselor, and people will leave out of the session and say, "Oh my God, I feel so much lighter." Whoo, that was a weight off my chest. And by the time they get in the car and get in the parking lot and drive off, 5 minutes later, boom, it's a weight transfer. I was absorbing the weight, absorbing the distress. But you learn how to manage it, particularly in my role, but just an individual who does not do this for a living or on a daily basis, then you have to put boundaries in place so that you're not overwhelmed by other people's chaos to the point where you start absorbing their chaos, because boundaries protect your energy. But hear this. Now, if you get this, it was going to be worth you tuning in today. Boundaries not only protect your energy, watch this, they prevent resentment. They prevent resentment. The reason I have to have boundaries in my life because it protects my energy, and it protects me from being resentful toward anybody. I don't take phone calls after a certain hour. No, I'm not talking when I've set out a time for rejuvenation, right? Because you have to protect you. Because here's what I've lived long enough to tell you. People will take everything you got, and the moment you stop giving it, they'll just move right on to somebody else. Start the same cycle over and over again. Number 4, you got to practice detachment with love. Now, we're talking about what do we have to do to adjust our expectations, because I've made the terrible mistake as you have made, and that was you're expecting peace from people who had war within themselves. So number 1, I've got to release unrealistic expectations. Number 2, I've got to set compassionate and consistent boundaries, right? Or concrete boundaries that I don't waver from, that I don't move because I got soft and you got to my heart. No. I have to practice detachment with love. Number 3, detachment isn't indifference. It's acknowledging, again, that their journey is their journey alone. Because have you figured it out yet? People will get mad at you for not helping them in their particular problematic moments or journey, but will never show up when you're having one of those moments. I made up my mind. This was the last season of my life that I'm showing up for who don't show up for me. Say what you want to say. It's not healthy. It's not a long-term sustainable model. It's depleting. It's debilitating. It's distressing. It's discouraging. Because your problem is you keep showing up for people who are not showing up for you. And you keep saying, well, they're gonna do it the next time. They're gonna show up for me next time. They're gonna eventually come around. But what if you go down before they come around? Is that a risk you're really willing to take? Using all of your energy, sowing all your energy, investing all of your energy in places and in people that you may never reap it back from. Here's my suggestion to you, ladies and gentlemen. Support them from a distance if they're open to help, but don't tie your peace to their healing. Oh, I wish you would get this. I wish you would really understand this. You have to learn how to love people at a support them at a distance. This is what I told people years ago. Some people you got to learn how to put on your waving list. What does that mean? I love you. I'm I love you from over here. I don't need you right in this space, because this space is protected, right? I got to safeguard my space, my energy. I can't have your bad vibes disrupting the continuity of my peace, right? I don't want any unnecessary drama. I want it calm and peaceful. And so you got to determine that you have to start practicing some detachment disciplines. And again, it doesn't mean you're throwing anybody away or you're kicking them to the curb, but does mean you're prioritizing the amount of space you're going to allot to somebody to occupy in your life. Let me do a quick test. If you look in your phone right now and look at the last 5 people you text or called, and you did an honest assessment and you asked yourself, are they adding to my life or are they subtracting from my life? Am I benefiting from them or are they benefiting from me? Or is it just a one-sided beneficial thing? They call and get everything they want from me, but when I call them, I'm treated like an inconvenience. I'm treated as if you're going way out of your way for me. But what I want to say to you today, that you have to employ and you have to begin to develop some detachment disciplines. I support you from a distance if you are open to help, but don't tie your peace to their healing. I'm going to love you from a distance. I'm going to pray for you. Stop letting people put you in a position where they're trying to treat you as if you're God. I'm not God. Right? I can't be your God. I can pray for you. I can want the best for you. I could be a well-wisher of yours, but my peace is not tied to your healing. All right. I hope you can handle this. I know I'm going a little deep, and I didn't mean to go this deep, but if we're going to manage properly our expectations of others, particularly in this session where we're dealing with dispelling this unrealistic expectation you've been having of expecting peace from people who are at war within themselves. Number one, you got to release unrealistic expectations. Number two, you got to set compassionate and concrete boundaries. Number three, you got to practice detachment with love. Number four, you have to reframe your perspective. Reframe your perspective. Here's the greatest revelation relative to this kind of interaction. Their behavior is not about you. In fact, it is a reflection of their inner state. Let me let that marinate for a moment. Sometimes when people are reacting and acting out negatively toward you, their behavior is not about you. It's a reflection of their inner state. You have to understand that because they're dealing with so many unresolved issues, they are longing for and lack closure to certain moments and chapters of their lives that they feel that they did not get. It was unwarranted. It's an unfair experience, but nonetheless, stop taking it so personal. But what you must do is create some reoccurring preventable distance. In other words, now that I know you have the capacity to lash out at me without making the distinction that I was not the perpetrator, I've got to create some distance so that I am not the victim of your reoccurring lashing. I wish more people would understand this. When you get hurt by people's actions, and you haven't remotely done anything to offend them, to hurt them, to make them feel any kind of way negatively. You got to remind yourself, this is their storm and not mine. I'm not going to take it personal. And that's one of the biggest signs of maturity. When somebody's lashing out and going off, and you say, wait a minute, I know I didn't do anything. You're not going to make me feel less than, or I'm not going to start feeling some kind of way about myself. I'm just mature enough to recognize that what you are dealing with now, the behavior you are reflecting and projecting, is a reflection of your inner state. And your inner state is revealing that you're at war within yourself. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little time. I'm going to remove myself from the situation. And I am going to invest my time, effort, and energy in places that make me feel good about myself, places that are filled with peace and calmness and tranquility and serenity. And I am not going, and again, I'm going to adjust my expectations, because the behavior is not about me. It's a reflection of your inner state. Number 5, you got to choose where to invest your energy. Let me give you that again. Number 5, you got to choose where you are going to invest your energy. And I keep, just give me the grace to say this to you. Not everybody deserves access to your emotional bandwidth. Just like everybody doesn't come to your house. That, it's levels to this. Some people you gotta. I'm meeting you at the coffee shop. I'm meeting you at this private, public, open area, right? Just as there are levels to intimacy, just as there are incremental moves into places of intimacy, likewise, it is in terms of anybody having any interaction with your life. Because here's the reality. You can look back right now and see people you never should have gave keys to. Go ahead, take a moment. Because I know you got to get over the shock of it. You got to act like you're not one of those people. But somebody's watching me. You know what it is right now that says, I should have never gave them access. I should have never let them this close. And we're not even going to deal with the fact that you saw some of the signs ahead of time, but you still persisted anyway. Come on, there's nobody here but you and I. Come on, let's talk. You were more desperate than you were discerning. The signs were there, but you intentionally, okay, maybe if I'm honest, it'll help you be honest. I saw signs that I intentionally ignored. I saw signs that said, slow down, slippery when it's wet down the curve. And then I got mad when I slid and hit against the side of the, okay, y'all don't want to be honest, right? So we intentionally have ignored signs and red flags that would have protected us from being emotionally injured. Psychologically, we took an unnecessary hit, all because we simply ignore the signs. And so now the next challenge is to figure out, well, when to walk away. Right? Because if I'm going to adjust my expectations, if I'm going to mature to the point where I realize that I am delusional to expect peace from people who are at war with themselves, then when do I walk away? When do I say this is it and really mean it? When do, come on. You're grown. You've been around a little while now. You know there's a difference between I'm done and I'm done. I'm done. Because there are some I'm dones that you give at 10 o'clock and say, I'm done with you. And by 8 o'clock, y'all eating dinner together. Not that. I'm talking about when you really done. If somebody's inner war is repeatedly harming you, I'm talking about in terms of manipulation, toxicity, or abuse on any level, then leaving is an act, not just an act of self-respect, but it's an act. Leaving is an act of self-respect, not cruelty. Okay. Sometimes I've got to go out of necessity, out of, again, self-preservation. You cannot set yourself on fire just to keep somebody else warm. Let me say that to you again. You cannot set yourself on fire just to keep somebody else warm. Here's what I want you to say. Here's what I want you to say in your mind, out of your mouth. I will not confuse my compassion for others with a responsibility to fix them. Let me give you that again. I will not confuse my compassion for others with a responsibility to fix them. My peace is my priority. I hope you're getting this, because I wish I was there so I could get this. I will not confuse compassion for others with a responsibility to fix them. A lot of your problem is you've been having a lot of fixer-uppers, just a whole stretch of fixer-uppers. It's like going to a car, like, it's a pretty good car. All you just needs a little muffler, just needs a little tune up, just needs a little. And by the time it just needs a little, it needs a lot, right? Because you don't know what you're getting into. And you have to come to the conclusion that I refuse to be delusional and live in a delusional state and expect peace from people who are at war with themselves. Now, what are the sources of these internal battles? Let me give you three things that I want you to really, really, really consider and think about and disseminate in your mind over the next 48 hours. Number one, inner wars often stem from fragmented parts of ourselves. Guilt, fear, or anger. In other words, inner wars often stem from fragmented parts of ourselves battling for dominance. Battling for dominance. It's that insecurity in you that you're trying to suppress, but it keeps trying to fight you and say, this is going to be our dominant position in life. We're insecure. Or it's that anger in you that you've been trying to harness, you've been trying to suppress because you don't want to be like daddy was. You don't want to be angry all the time like mama was. But it is that internal war, that internal emotion that is battling for dominance. It's the clearest example I can think about is, like, you remember those snow globes? People would have them for Christmas. You shake them up and the snow is going everywhere. But here's the reality. The snow only falls back into place when you stop shaking it. When you stop disturbing it, it then again begins to settle down. So inner war often stems from fragmented parts of ourselves battling for dominance. Number two, inner war stem from narratives like saying I'm broken or I'll never recover. You must change the story, because when you change your story and what you say about you, you change your power dynamic. When you change your story and change your internal narrative and what you're saying about yourself, you change the power dynamic. Number three, inner wars thrive on self-judgment. Inner wars thrive on self-judgment. Compassion is the balm that soothes the fight. I know you're judging yourself very harshly. And it's not that I want to minimize your infraction or minimize what you have done. But what I am saying to you is, after you have offered your repentance, after you have extended your remorsefulness for moments of your life where you were immature and even ignorant to some things, but you do not owe your future to your past. You got to decide that I am not going to be self-condemnatory. I hold myself responsible, but I am not going to judge, be self-condemnatory, because self-judgment will keep that inner war raging in your life. And today, if you would follow these principles and literally start adjusting your expectation of yourself, particularly stop expecting peace from people who are at war with themselves. I'd rather be by myself than be in a car that's filled with chatter and chaos and confusion. I'd rather eat lunch by myself. I ain't gonna pay and not be at peace. Oh no, sir, no, ma'am. Your problem could be you are surrounded by people who are contributing to the clutter, to the chaos, and the confusion that you are currently experiencing in your life. And until you make the necessary adjustments and align your, remember, I said earlier that our expectations is not about abandoning them, it's about aligning them in reality, right? I am no longer going to be so presumptuous as to think that I can expect this from you, expect that from you. No, no, no. I've got to accurately assess the people, the personnel that are in my life and in my circle. Because the challenge is, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes your circle could be the reason you're still going in circles. But today is your day to make the necessary adjustments. Will you do that today? Are you going to make the necessary adjustments in the season of your life? Because until you make those adjustments, you have no right to complain about what you are experiencing, right? I got to make the adjustments, and then I could see significant change and transformation in my life. Now, a lot of you who are watching now, I want you to ponder everything I've said to you today. I want you to understand. I want you to go back and rewatch and replay and watch how drastically life begins to change for you. It's going to change drastically for your life. At this time, I want to pray. I want to pray for you, Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus. I pray for your people today who are watching, that this was not a haphazard event for them. They tuned in at the right day at the right time to hear exactly what they needed to hear to do something differently about and with their lives. And so now, God, I pray they have the tools and the strategies and the instruction to accomplish just that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. Well, I hope you are excited about what God is doing for your life. Now, at this time, I want you to prepare to give your seed offering. Today, the giving means are right there on the screen for you. I want you to find the one that's the most convenient, and I want you to give unto the Lord today. I want to challenge everybody that can and will, if you can sow at least a $20 seed offering. If you're willing and able to do that, I want you to, by faith, release that seed and sow it in the ground. Of course, all the giving means are right there on your screen for you. Find the one that's the most convenient, and I want you to give it. And know that God's going to give it back to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. He'll cause men to give unto your bosom. If you want to mail your seed in, send it to 1605 Robert C. Blake Senior Drive, our corporate headquarters, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70130. And we're going to receive it and pronounce the Lord's great blessings upon your life. So I want you to go back, even as you're playing and replaying this, take advantage of the giving opportunities. God's going to bless you in a significant way. Yes, my Cash App is $Henry W. Bolden 3. $Henry W. Bolden 3. Thank you so much. Thank those of you who are sowing and giving. The Lord's God to bless you in a supernatural way. All right, well, for today. Today is an amazing day. And we're believing God for breakthrough, and we believe his wonders um, or among us today. So I want you to believe God again today. Pray for Bishop Samuel Blakes. We expect nothing but significant results and amazing testimony from the Lord. Don't forget, this Sunday, find your new home everywhere and make your way into the house of the Lord. I would love to have you to join me this Sunday at 9 a.m., 13800 Hain Boulevard, our East New Orleans location, 10:30 uptown, of course, 10:30 at our Hammond location, 11 o'clock at our Houston, Texas location, and 1 p.m. at our Jackson, Mississippi location. So I want you to join us there. All right. I love you so much. I want you to have an amazing weekend. And of course, as Bishop always says, have an amazing day today. I want you to go get it, because God says it is absolutely, positively yours, my friend. I'll see you next time.